had you essentially stopped having contact with Michael Jackson?
No, we had to put the artwork together for the on sale, so the discussions were creative, and I think Paul Gongaware had other discussions with them about the production.
All right, and that's what was occurring between January 26th and March 5th. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, on March 5th, did you go out to London for this press conference, for this announcement?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And describe for us how this press conference was set up at the O2 Arena.
Well, my staff in London put it together, had organized it. We had a press agent named Alan Edwards, who I believe had worked with Michael before, and he pretty much organized, invited the press, the media, and my staff set it up.
All right, and you and your staff went out to O2 Arena for this press conference?
That is correct.
And so, as did Michael Jackson and his security staff. Is that
Correct,
right?
correct.
Did you stay in the same hotel as he did?
No.
I want to...
Just a moment.
Sorry for answering.
That's right. The objection sustained. The last answer is straight. Disregard, please.
Direct your attention to the press conference itself. Was Michael Jackson scheduled to speak at that press conference?
Yes, he was.
Do you know when he was scheduled to speak?
Objection relevance.
The objection is sustained. 350 and 352.
Was Michael Jackson late for his press
Objection
conference?
relevance.
Sustained. 350 and 352. Another subject. Thank you.
Were you present at his press conference?
Yes, sir.
Objection. The court just ruled next subject.
Thank you. The objection is sustained.
I believe that the last subject was whether he was late, and this is whether now he had attended. Should I just stay away from the press conference completely,
Correct.
Your Honor?
Thank you.
No press conference. Okay.
You can move to another subject. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. All right. After the press conference, then there would be a focus then on the production of the show. Is that right?
Correct.
And that's exactly what happened.
Correct.
Okay. Now, before we get to that, let's talk about the sales of the show. After the announcement was made on March 5th, how were sales?
We started fabulous, over the top.
And how long did it take you to blow past the 10, then the 31 shows?
Well, we did a pre-registration, meaning people could register to purchase tickets. And one of the reasons we did that was to create a database for Michael, so he could sell music to his fans and have direct contact through a website called michaeljacksonlive.com.
All right, and so what happened with the sales?
The registrations were, we had never seen that kind of demand, at least in my career, that kind of demand for tickets for a show.
It became clear that 31 shows were not going to be enough?
Yes, it was obvious that we would have blown through the sales on 31 shows in what we call the pre-sale, and not have had any tickets left for the general public on sale.
All right, so what did you do in response to that? Or what did you or Paul Gongaware do?
Paul called me, said in his inimitable fashion, "Dude, can you call Dr. Tomei and see if Michael will agree to do more shows, because this is an unprecedented demand."
All right, and was that done?
Yes, I called Dr. Tomei.
All right. Did Michael Jackson eventually agree to do more shows?
Right, say it almost simultaneous with my conversations with Dr. Tomei. I also spoke to Michael.
Just like that?
Within 20 minutes.
All right, but Michael Jackson had some requests to do more shows, right?
That is correct.
And what were those requests?
Dr. Tomei first told me what they were, and then Michael called me directly, and basically what he wanted was, 50 shows. That was the maximum amount of shows he wanted to do, because he didn't want to, as he said to me, live in London and have to get a new passport. And what he wanted was me to find an estate for him that I could lease, outside of London, and he was very specific. He wanted 16-plus acres, running streams, horses, and basically what he explained to me is he didn't want to be trapped in a hotel suite, no matter how beautiful, in the heart of London, and not be able to leave and have the kids and he cloistered. He wanted to give them a pastoral country vibe, living vibe. Okay, so condition one was that I find an estate for him to live in and the children. And then condition two was that at the 50th show, he wanted me to arrange for the Guinness Book of World Records to be there because he knew this was a feat that no performer would ever be able to beat.
And you knew that was a feat that no performer had ever beaten? Probably never would, huh?
Unfortunately, in my career, yes.
Let's talk about the process then that went on to get this show together for the O2 Arena. And were you involved or at least familiar with the process of getting the This Is It production prepared and ready for final shows?
Yes.
All right. In March, was there any production going on for the This Is It show?
No production had started. I don't believe it kicked into gear until sometime in April.
What was happening in March?
In March, Michael and Paul had a couple of meetings about the show itself with some production people we had brought on board to help do the budgets. And to the best of my recollection, that's when Michael told Paul that he wanted Kenny Ortega to be the director.
All right, and Kenny Ortega was contacted.
Correct.
All right, now let's go into April. In April, what was Kenny Ortega part of the team in April? By April?
By April, I believe he was.
All right. What was going on in April with regard to this production?
Kenny had arranged for a production designer named Michael Cotton to be employed, Travis Payne as chief choreographer, and assorted other personnel were hired.
So we're hiring personnel in April. Are there other meetings going on about some of the creative issues that are involved in the production?
To the best of my knowledge, yes, I wasn't in all those meetings.
All right, so we're hiring staff. Are we also rehearsing, or not rehearsing, but
Audition.
the word is
Audition.
lost. What do you do with dancers?
Audition.
Thanks. Thank you.
Is
Lost
that
the word.
okay?
Auditioning dancers during that period of time?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in April, then, when everything is ultimately set up and we've got the personnel in place, when ultimately do rehearsals start for the production?
Yeah, I honestly don't recollect when the rehearsal started.
Do you know? Could you narrow it down to a month? Did they begin it in April or in May?
I believe that they may have started in May, but I'm not 100% sure.
Let's go back to April, and I want to talk about or May, early May. I want to talk about any conversation that you might have had with Michael Jackson about a personal doctor. Do you recall having that conversation with him?
Yeah, it was a conversation that I had with him. It would have been sometime in May.
Sometime in May.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And was this a topic that you approached Michael on, or he approached you on?
No, it started, I wasn't involved in the initial discussions.
All right. How did you get involved?
I had returned from a road trip. I was traveling, and I stopped by the Forum, because rehearsals at that point had moved into the Forum.
Do you
So
know-
this would have been later in May.
Late May.
Yeah.
All right.
Had moved into the Forum, And I was walking in the hallway in front of the production office, and Paul Gongaware, a gentleman named Tim Woolley, who was our tour accountant, or show accountant for the shows, and Frank DeLeo came up to me and said, we're having an issue with Michael on the hiring of a personal physician. He wants to hire his own physician to attend to his needs 24/7 and have him travel with the tour. And we haven't been able to talk him out of it, and it's going to be very, very expensive. Could you take a shot at Michael and see if you can convince him to use a London-based physician?
All right, and you agreed to take a shot?
Yes, I did.
All right, and what did you do?
I called Michael. I called Michael Amir to set up a call to speak to Michael Jackson, because that was the protocol. And I spoke to Michael, and I said to him, I said,
Which
Mike
Michael?
Jackson. Spoke to Michael Jackson, and I said, Mike, it's going to be very expensive to hire a doctor from America and have them on call 24/7 with you in London for these shows. And, it is London when we're in a major capital city. Do you think would that be okay if we got you someone, but we got someone who was based in London and was available when you needed them? And he was very firm and said, no, I need my own physician, and I need him 24/7, and I have a physician.
All right, and this is in late May.
I believe so,
All right.
Mr. Chernoff.
And you said what after Michael Jackson told you that?
Well, he was firm, and I said, okay, then I'll have Paul Gongaware negotiate the best terms he can with the doctor for you.
All right, and that was your idea to have Paul Gongaware call this particular doctor?
Paul was already engaged
All right.
in the discussions. I really had nothing to do with the hiring of.
All right.
the doctor.
And later on, you learned that the doctor that Michael Jackson was talking about was Dr. Conrad Murray.
Correct.
Had you met Dr. Murray prior to that conversation you had with Michael Jackson?
No,
You knew nothing about Dr. Murray?
nothing.
Okay. And Michael Jackson never mentioned that I have a physician or anything of that nature?
No, we never had that discussion. No.
All right. At some point, though, you met Dr. Murray
Correct.
after that conversation. When did you meet Dr. Murray?
To the best of my recollection, there was a meeting at Michael's house on Carrollwood Drive. I think it was in very early June.
Was it the first week of June, second week of June?
I think it was the first week of June.
All right. Was it on a weekday? Was it on a weekend?
It was a weekday.
You're sure it was a weekend?
No, I believe it was a weekday.
A weekday.
Yeah. The truth is, I'm just dealing with recollections of
I
events that
understand.
happened a long time ago. I'm not 100% sure.
Well, do you know whether there was rehearsal that day?
I don't know.
All right. Do you know what time the meeting was?
It was in the late afternoon.
Before evening? Before 4, before 5?
Either 4 or 5
All right. This meeting was at Michael Jackson's house?
at the Carrollwood Drive house.
All right.
yes.
And who called the meeting?
I think Paul Gongaware and Frank DeLeo did.
And do you know what the topic or what reason was given to call this meeting?
It was a preliminary meeting to discuss, what Dr. Murray was going to do for Michael, and there were some concerns that Frank had and others about Michael not eating, losing weight, and we wanted to just have a general meeting to discuss Michael's health.
All right. So at the meeting was Frank DeLeo
Correct.
and yourself. Dr. Murray was there.
Correct.
Michael Jackson was there.
Correct.
And
And Paul Gongaware.
Paul Gongaware. What about Kenny Ortega?
To the best of my recollection, he wasn't at this meeting.
Okay. Now, we're going to go back to that meeting in a second, but now I want to kind of move back to May, and I want to ask you, do you